loose. Welcome back to another nail art tutorial. Today we're going to be making some custom decals that are Hocus Pocus themed. These are all the polishes that I used to create this design, and I'll put the links down below. First thing you're going to want to do is print out whatever design you're planning on doing. So since we're doing Hocus Pocus, I printed out the Hocus Pocus logo, and then I also printed out a stencil of the Sanderson sisters' hairs, like a silhouette of their hair, because that was the design I wanted to do the most. So what I did was I did a web search for these images, and then I went to a photo editor and I cropped them down to what size I wanted them to be to fit onto my nail. Takes a couple tries, or at least it did with me. I think I printed them 3 times before I was happy with the size of the decals. But once you have something that is what you're looking for and will fit onto your nail, go ahead and print those out and then just tape them down onto the table. I'm using painter's tape so it won't damage my table, and this just helps so that your design doesn't move around with you while you're painting your decals. The next thing you're going to need is a sandwich bag or a Ziploc bag, any kind of clear bag. Super easy. I know the camera is very shiny on that bag. There's not a lot that I can do about that, and I apologize. But what you're going to do then is, what I did was I taped down the bag because I didn't want it moving either. So once you have it taped down and flattened out as best as you can, you're going to start with a clear coat. I just used one of my top coats, and you're going to put a layer of polish over whatever design you're planning on doing, and make sure that it's big enough that it's going to fit on your nail. And it can have bigger edges and borders than will fit on your nail because we're going to trim them down later, but you just want to make sure that you have the full area covered so that when you go back to do your design with colored polish, it's not going to run off or anything. So once you do that, you'll want to let that clear coat dry before you paint on it. Otherwise you run the risk of mixing your polishes. So when you get those dry, the next thing that I did is I just put a dot of the color that I was going to use on this laminated cheat sheet paper that I have from when I was in nail technician school. But you can use like a sour cream lid or like a yogurt lid or something like that. Any kind of plastic or laminated thing will work. It's really nice because then you can just clean it off with acetone and a cotton pad or cotton round or whatever. So basically you're creating a palette for yourself, and then I used this tiny nail art brush and just traced over my design. So for the Hocus Pocus part, we're doing it in a deep indigo purple because they're going to go over the yellow moon, or moon colored nails is what we're going for, but it's going over a yellow base, so I wanted that darkness to complement it. And then oppositely, with the Three Sisters hairs, they're going to be on a very dark base nail. So what I did was I started off with a white coat just to make the color pop so that it wouldn't fade or be too see-through or blend in too much or unnoticeable. Because I wanted their hairs to be bright, their hair silhouettes to be bright. So I started off with just a white base for the 3 Sanderson sisters hairs, which for this design that we're doing, it was 2 sets of hair for each, 2 hocuses and 2 pocuses. So once you get that design finished, all you have to do is move your bag, retape it back down, and do the next part. And you can have it all on the same sandwich bag as long as you don't get too close with where you're doing your designs. And the other thing about doing these nail decals is you can do them a few days in advance if you want, because it is a little bit time consuming. As long as it stays on the bag, and it's fine. So once you have all of that done, I fast forwarded through it for you guys, but Now I wanted to go back and do the color on their hair. So for Sister Mary Sanderson, we're doing this light purple or lavender color. So I'm just painting over the white base that we had put down on these earlier. But like I was saying, you can make these decals day 2, 3 days for in advance if you want. They are time consuming, but I think that they're worth it, especially if you're having, if you have a specific design in mind that's not as easy to maybe freehand. So for Winifred's hair, or Winnie, we're doing bright orange. And then for Sarah's hair, we're going to be using bright yellow. And again, same thing. You're just going to color over the part that you've already done. You've got a guide there. You don't have to have those templates underneath the bag anymore because you've already got your design painted out. And there they all are. Once you get that done and all of that polish dries, you're going to go over it with another layer of your clear top coat, and this will seal your design in. So you want to make sure it's dry first. And then after you get them all top coated again, just set them aside. And like I said, if you're doing this a couple days in advance, then they're already ready to go for you. But you want to set them aside and let them fully dry. And that's how you make your own decals. It's pretty fun, I think. So getting into polishing our nails, for this design I'm doing the pinky and the thumb in the yellow to replicate the moon. And so again, I'm putting a white base down so that that color really pops and I don't have to do a bunch of layers to get that full opacity, to get that full color. It's just nicer to have that white base. It takes out a bunch of polishing steps. And then the 3 middle nails here, we're using that deep indigo purple. And it took 2 layers of the purple for it to be really fully opaque, and I just really love this color. It's again a Holo Taco one. And so you can see on the original movie there, the yellow moon with a little bit darker spots. That's what we're going for on the pinky and the thumbnail. So I just used a basic yellow. This one, I think that one was from Walmart. To get those dark shadow spots on the moon, I just dry brushed a darker yellow, and that one actually had some holographic glitter in it. So that's what I did to create those shadows on the moon. So now you're ready for your decals, and the last step for these guys is to peel them off. Just use a pair of tweezers and pull them off. They come off really easy. It's super fast. I just put them all in a pile. Since we did create 10 decals, since I had to have both of my hands this way. Hocus Pocus is like, man, it might be my actual favorite Halloween movie. I don't know. There's a lot of really good ones, but I think it might be my actual favorite Halloween movie. What's your guys' favorite? Let me know. So the next step is trimming your decals down, since I know I made mine bigger than were necessary, especially with the Hocus and the Pocus for my pinkies. It's going to consume my entire nail, so I wanted to trim them down as close to the actual design as I could. So I just took my little baby eyebrow scissors that I don't actually use for eyebrows, but I have them, so I might as well use them. I just trimmed down that extra clear coat that we had all around it. And I did this with all of them. And actually, when I pulled up Winnie's hair, both of them were stuck together, which isn't even a problem either, but I had to separate them and then cut them out. And you can cut them as close to your design as you want. So when it's time to apply, you just take a top coat, apply it to the nail, Now I do this one nail at a time because you want to adjust a little bit. Grab what decal you're going to use. So on this pinky, we're doing Hocus. I grab it with some tweezers, and they do curl, so you have to be mindful of that, but place it on your nail, um, get it adjusted where you want it to lay, and then I just use the back end of my tweezers. You can use like a dry nail art brush. You can even use your fingers to press it on. You just want to get it as smooth as possible on your nail plate so that there's not like any ridges popping up. And then if you have like excess clear coat sticking out the end there, you just use a brush soaked in acetone to kind of melt down those edges, like around the cuticle, around the tip. You can even do it on your nail plate to make that transition smoother between where the decal is and where your nail is. But just take your time and just get it placed in the right place. And once it's done and you're happy with it, apply another clear coat of top coat over top of your nail, and there it is. And then move on to your next nail. And so what I did was Hocus, and then I did Mary's hair, Mary's hair on my ring finger, Winifred's hair on my middle finger, and Sarah's hair on my pointer finger, and then I put Pocus on my thumb. And that was just for my left hand, because for my right hand, it's obviously a little bit different. So it's all the same decals. It's the same order, but it starts on my thumb. So my thumb says Hocus, and then it goes Mary, Winifred, Sarah, and then Pocus to my pinky. So, but just take your time on this. Like I said, you can use acetone on a brush to help melt the edges down a little bit so it's not as thick. You can use a dry brush to help push it down. Whatever is going to make it easier for you. You just want to be careful not to smudge too badly because there is wet polish underneath there. So just make sure you're careful, and it's not that difficult. Maybe it sounds more difficult, but I don't find it very difficult personally. So, and our last nail, give us some Pocus. All right, there they are. We got Hocus, all three Sanderson sisters, and Pocus. Also, if you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend you go watch it because it's great. It's just great. I hope this was informational for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed watching it. I do recommend if you're going to do this to, see, there's a good close-up view of all the nails, to make your decals early. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time doing your nails, which isn't bad if you love it. So give this a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. Comment below if you have suggestions for future videos. Share this with your friends. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Subscribe if you want. Thanks again for watching. Knox.